So I followed some of your work, Tezlyn. You keep it real. And so tell us.
But what is really important to those on the ground that want to ensure that their family member is not another George Floyd is that we're continuing to what I call push the line in politics to make sure that the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act will pass in Senate. And that is something that I am deeply concerned about in them watering down that bill. Like, this is why it was so important that Keith Ellison strategically asked that they consider third-degree murder as well, because we want to give the jury every opportunity to hold this officer accountable, because it really does come down to intent to take the life of George Floyd and all of the things that was going through his head when he could have made a different decision, which was to get his knee off of George Floyd's neck.
Do you think this third-degree murder charge ups the likelihood that Derek Chauvin will actually be convicted?
Well, hopefully so. It certainly seems to work that way when it's black folks, in the courtroom. They give every possible scenario in order to convict us. So hopefully so. But again, when folks try to get into the minds of folks to say, was it intent? Did he intentionally do it? Hopefully that tape will serve as evidence to show that he had opportunity to remove his neck. George Floyd was pleading for his life. Those around him was pleading for his life. Even the officers at the time in EMS that arrived on the scene said, should you remove your foot from his neck or your knee from his neck? And he intentionally made that decision over and over and over. But at this point, I just want to be honest with you. Most folks just want to see some type of justice, any at all, because we haven't seen any type, whether it's second degree, third degree, manslaughter. It seems that this system has not allowed any accountability. And going back to the policy side of things, and so it's important that we continue to advocate for these issues so that folks at home can understand how this can affect their life too if it were to happen to them.
George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed in the House, but you mentioned something earlier that you're concerned that it might be watered down. What do you think will be watered down specifically in it?
There has always been this debate on if officers or if they're held accountable for their decisions, that it would put them in danger. So this system has been set up to protect the officers opposed to protecting the citizens. There should be a law that says that you need to be responsible, when you have a gun and the badge that has the power. They certainly hold regular everyday citizens to the accountability of having a weapon, and they want us to make sure that we're making responsible decisions. So the same should be with, I would say, the most powerful citizens in our community, which are the police officers. They have the power of the badge and the gun and a legal system that protects them. So I do not, I am all about being positive and optimistic, but like you said when you introduced me, I'm also about keeping it real. And I believe that Republican senators will do everything to block this. And this is why we cannot beg them. I say all the time, we cannot beg, we have to boss. This is about not chasing them, but replacing them. In 2022, if your elected official, whether that be in the U.S. House of Representatives or a senator, then you need to start organizing and you need to get these folks out of office. Period. End of discussion. They're not going to change their minds. Their citizens are saying, we didn't send you to Congress to vote your conscience. We sent you to do what we told you to do. So on the left side of the party, the left side of those who fight for social justice, because there could be some on the right or the left. Those who believe in justice have to demand that we send them to do what we require them to do. And if they don't, it will be consequences and repercussions. And that's what I'm about. And that starts in 2022, which means we start organizing right now.
Yeah, but what do you think happens if Derek Chauvin is not convicted? We know there's a likelihood, regardless of the video that we've all seen, that he may walk free. What do you think happens then?
Yeah, well, the likelihood is certainly reasonable that it can happen because of how the legal system is set up. And that's why it's so important that we continue to have this conversation. Keith Ellison is the attorney general who was elected in that position. He's done everything, at least what he claims, everything possible to set up a scenario where there should be a conviction. But at the end of the day, it comes down to those jurors and the jury that decides if he walks or if he goes to prison. And that is where we really get down to what this trial is really about. We can blame the civil rights attorney Crump, even though he has nothing to do with the conviction, but folks love to blame blame him. We can certainly blame Keith Ellison. We can certainly blame the jurors. But many times, even going back to the OJ trial, many times, even in the OJ trial, the jury said that they would have loved to convict OJ Simpson, but because reasonable doubt was placed into the mix, they were able to find a reasonable doubt. So we have to really look at, I know they like to use friendly words to make everyone feel comfortable and say reimagine the criminal justice system, but let's not reimagine it. Let's actually fix it. And in order to do that, we have to have aggressive political leaders that are no longer more concerned with keeping their seats and actually do what we called them to do. And
Absolutely.
That is
Yep.
push the line. I always say politics until something happens, but it's time for something to happen. Push the line. Either get on board or get removed. But it comes down to us as citizens. If we continue to elect the same people over and over and over in these seats, we have no one but to blame but ourselves.
Tezlyn, true words, never spoken. Thank you so much for joining us and for your insight.
Thank you.